Well, I mean,
No.
right now though. So if Mason, I guess we'll play it two ways then, because I just want to kind of get your thoughts on this. As we sit and look at the division as a whole, the quarterbacks, you got Joe Burrow, got Lamar Jackson, you got Baker Mayfield slash potentially Deshaun Watson. Whew. I don't even like how that sounds saying that out my mouth. Lord, Lord, Lord. Where are we at right now, quarterback ranking wise in this division? If Mason is the starter, how do you feel we rank in terms of the quarterbacks? And if Mitch is the starter, how do you feel we rate amongst those quarterbacks?
Mm, I'll just say three for both.
Okay.
I want to, so I'm just gonna say it. With Mitch,
Mm-hmm.
the stats
Well,
are
you
out
said
there.
three.
The
Hold on.
stats
You
are even
said three.
out there.
Who's the fourth one? You put Lamar at the
Three for
bottom. You put
both.
Lamar at fourth. Where you put Lamar at?
No, no, it's
Oh,
Baker.
okay, okay,
Both four.
okay,
But yeah, if Deshaun Watson's the quarterback,
okay.
we're fourth. But if it's Baker, I'll say for both Mitch and Mason, I'll take him over Baker. Now, I get with Mason, that's
Mm-hmm.
way more projecting because Baker has had a better career up to
Mm-hmm.
this point. But I'll say Mason would have a better season than Baker next year. But with Mitch, I mean, there's an argument he's had a better career than Baker up to this
Mm-hmm.
point already, which is crazy. Better win
Mm-hmm.
percentage, better completion
Mm-hmm.
percentage, touchdown and interception ratio is pretty much the same,
Mm-hmm.
and passer rating. And I would say he had less help up in Chicago
Mm-hmm.
in terms of offense around him, offensive support.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll take Mitch and Mason both over Baker. We're in the third
Well,
spot
you hold on, hold
if
on.
he's still
I heard your
the
case for
quarterback.
Mitch. What was your case for Mason being better than Baker?
Yeah, I said I'm just projecting out this year. I think he'd be better than Baker this year
All right.
if he's the starter. Yeah, I actually would. I really would.
Well, I hear your optimism and I respect your optimism. I just do not share in that sentiment. To me, I think it doesn't matter if it's Mitch or Mason. I think we have the fourth best quarterback in the division, and that does not include if Deshaun Watson comes into this division. Because if that is real, I mean, we're seeing the reports right now that Cleveland has met with Deshaun Watson. We saw the nice, long, intimate post by Baker Reagan Mayfield as well. And it's just like, man, if Deshaun get in here, now it's even wider of a gap. I don't think that it's a crazy far gap between Baker, Mitch, and Mason, but I do think that Baker is the clear better quarterback, regardless of what a number might say, because as we've shown on numerous occasions, stats are very deceiving. But that's what you have to take into context the eyeball test. You take into context everything around. And to me, I just think that Baker's a better player, personally. But this is different for us because we've never had this conversation where, we're asking, man, how many quarterbacks are better in the division? Usually it was, man, is seven is number one. Or even this past year was like, all right, you can make a case that, before Burrow had the season that he had, like, man, you know what? Burrow's still kind of young. He's coming back from an injury. You can still throw seven in that thing. We know Lamar's an MVP and everything like that, but he's still kind of limited in certain elements of it. So you can make a case for a seven. Whereas this, I'm like, man, what's the case we're making? Am I trying to compare, the small sample size, or am I trying to compare Mitch and Mason in terms of their highlights versus Baker from last year where he was hurt? Or am I looking at Baker from the year before that where, he was looking actually pretty good at times? That's my whole dilemma, man. And I know Chicago has some ups and downs, but I don't think that Mitch had far less talent compared to what Baker had. In fact, I still think that Mitch had better quality receivers available to him more often or more frequently than what Baker has had. And we've talked about that as well, where Baker has never really had a full season with Odell being healthy and Baker being healthy and everybody being on the same page, O-line included. It was always mismatch. And then this past season was when it was supposed to happen, and they never really were able to get that connection going before they traded him. So I still don't necessarily believe that, Mitch had less weapons or less firepower than what Baker had in Cleveland. I just think because Baker plays in Cleveland and we obviously make our opinions on Baker because, it's just fun to do, we kind of, talk him down even more while we talk up Mason. But as I've told you before, man, if you're not in Pittsburgh, nobody is saying Mason Rudolph is better than Baker Mayfield. Not a chance. You know what I mean? And even Mitch is like, you might find one or two that make a compelling argument, but at the end of the day, it's like, nah, bro, Baker's the better quarterback. That's just kind of how I feel about it, man. It sucks to me to even be having to talk about Baker like that, but that's just kind of my feelings on it, man. And yeah, to see that Cleveland could potentially be getting a Deshaun Watson with an Amari Cooper over there. It's just like, man, what are we doing right now? That's all.
Deshaun Watson news is not good right now, for
Yeah.
sure. You got to
Yeah.
hope he goes to Falcons, Saints, or Panthers at this point.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because those three teams are in the running.
Mhm.
I think it's just the Browns for the AFC because
Yep.
Colts actually tried to get an interview with them and the Texans shut it down.
I saw it.
Yeah, Watson, the Browns would not be good news for us. It definitely would.
Yeah.
But with this Trubisky sign, I am liking the route we're taking
Yeah.
afterwards
I would
because
agree.
once we made it, it's like, okay, what's the plan now? And we've made moves. We've rebuilt the
definitely did,
offensive
man.
line. It seems like we're building up a little bit on defense, the Levi Wallace signing. So I think there's still some moves to be made. Like if we could
Yeah.
get a Matthew, if we could get a Bobby Wagner, man,
Mhm.
like I think we're right back in this thing. Playoffs contention, because then we still have all of our picks too.
Mhm.
To it coming back, hopefully. Like there's a lot of
Oh, yeah.
things that could go in our direction here. And if the
Mhm.
Steelers believe in Trubisky that much and Trubisky lives up to that potential,
Yeah.
whatever we view him to
we
be,
could be the Niners.
we could have a
could be
really
the
nice
Niners.
team.
Yeah, I look at us like we could be the Niners, we could be the Vikings, we could be a team, where we're like, yo, they got talent around them, they got all the pieces in place. Hope the quarterback doesn't kill them.
So you
That's
just
what we'll
think
be.
it's done? You just think it's over with Trubisky, though?
No,
Like,
I'm not
he's
saying
not-
that. I'm not saying that, but to have this optimism that he's all of a sudden a franchise caliber quarter, I'm not going to lie to myself and do that either. I just take it as it is what it is. I just look at it as strictly facts. I don't do I'm speculating that this guy's going to grow into something or not, because we've done that how many times? Like, that's not how the NFL works. We know this. So that's why for me, I just say, man, if Mitch plays to his best potential, we are the 49ers. The 49ers have played in the Super Bowl. They've been to an NFC Championship game. I'm fine with that. But you see how we view Jimmy G in those moments. We see how when Jimmy G is limited, if he is struggling, how it can handicap your team, regardless of how good you are on special teams, regardless of how good you are on defense. And even the Niners, they had a legit O-line, Debo Samuels, that everything else around them was stacked and loaded. But the quarterback play was the biggest issue. And to me, I'm saying to myself, is Mitch even on that level just yet? You know what I mean? Because we haven't seen him take a team into the postseason and win the way that we've seen Jimmy G do it, even though with Jimmy G, it hasn't always been pretty. And that's why I said for me, man, I don't take it as I'm trying to speculate or just say that a guy can't develop anymore. But I just look at where he's been at throughout his career and the trajectory that he is on. And it doesn't make me feel like this year pairing him with Matt Canada is automatically going to wave a magic wand on this dude and make him something that he's never been since he's been in the NFL. That's all.
So you think his ceiling's Jimmy G, though? Like that's the best we could get from him?
I mean, based on what he's shown so far, I don't think it's too far off of that. I don't think that he's going to be as prolific of a passer as a Kirk Cousins just yet. You said Ryan Tannehill. I think that that's a nice comp as well in terms of the storyline and things like that. But I still think that Tannehill has a little bit more mobility. I kind of like Mitch a little bit better as a passer than I do Tannehill. You know what I mean? So it's like I see pros and cons to each of those guys. But once again, you even started off when you talked about Tannehill. You said, man, I wouldn't even want that guy. It's like, even though they've won in Tennessee, we don't believe in him like that. That's all I'm saying. It's like, man, what makes Mitch so much better than Tannehill when we haven't even seen Mitch do what Tannehill has done just yet, and we aren't even on the Tannehill train to that extent. That's all. It just put it in context for me.
I think the thing I like about Mitch is the number 2 overall pick, that type of upside, that type of potential, and the contract. I think those are the two things you could look to right now because we could really build up a nice roster around him. And it is, like going back to what you said, it is a little bit of this waiting game. I still have some decent high hopes for this season, depending on how the rest of this free agency plays out and the draft. Like I think we can win with Mitch. Problem is always going to be like,
we're not going to be bad. Don't take what I'm saying as we're going to be a bad team. That's not what I'm saying at all. We'll probably still make the playoffs. I'm just simply saying that when it comes time to go against the big dogs in the AFC, we're going to be over here with a very, very small margin of error. That's it.
Unless Trubisky excels.
Right.
Unless he taps into that potential. Does some of the stuff he was doing up in Buffalo. That's all. If he does that, I mean, I'm basically talking about him the same way I'm talking about Mason. That's it. I mean, could we just see one of those guys step up? Any of those 3 kids.
Here's the reason why I'm not as optimistic. That's all, man.